What you are witnessing is real-time footage of Christoph Vogelsang taking in action during the semifinals of WSOP 25K Heads-Up Event number 6. As you can imagine, Christoph's pace of play was met with immediate and furious backlash. The commentators were flabbergasted, unable to comprehend what could possibly justify taking so long to act, and the peanut gallery on Twitter was almost unanimous in their pointed irritation at Christoph's antics. Some even hypothesized that Christoph's tanking was a deliberate tactic designed to tilt his opponent. But is it possible that there's more to this than meets the eye? Could it be the case that he's someone that gets lost in the moment while doing his best to make the most profitable decision possible? Broadly speaking, there are two types of players. There are those that allow their intuition and instinct to guide their decisions in the moment, and then there are those that meticulously analyze each spot, considering all relevant factors. Given that Christoph has a master's degree in economics and is of German descent, it's probably safe to assume that he falls within the latter category. And if that's the case, it's likely that he has some deliberate methodology that he uses to make his decisions at the felt. So what could this thought process look like that takes him so long to act? Well, let's consider his flop decision after 3-betting the button to see if we might be able to glean some insights. We can use a solver to help us identify the relevant factors that objectively and indisputably impact EV, which include, among other things, his position, the effective stack size, the pot size, his opponent's range, his own range, the strength of his hand, card removal, the need for protection, his opponent's likely responses to his actions, and possible runouts. As we can see, these factors make this single spot incredibly complex. Even though we've used a relatively simplified game tree, the actions are highly mixed with multiple bet sizings. Just because your average Joe looks at this spot and simply thinks, "Me strong, me bet," it doesn't mean that this thought process is correct or that everyone thinks the same way. Why are sets checking here more than overpairs? Of the overpairs, why are aces betting less often than jacks? And of the pocket jacks, why are some checking more than others? Who has the advantage here? If Christoph checks, how likely is it that Rabbitshaw will check back? And if he does check back, what happens if a king or ace rolls off on the turn? Should Christoph bet small to target some overcards, or should he bet larger to try to get called by weak pairs and draws? What are the bluffs in his range, and what sizings do they want to use? To those that find it incomprehensible that Christoph could legitimately take 3 minutes to make this flop decision, I would ask, which of these factors are irrelevant? Which ones have no impact on EV? And if they all impact EV to some degree, and there are literally hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake, playing against one of the best heads-up players in the world, where a single mistake can send you to the rail, is it really impossible to fathom that this is a complicated spot with a multitude of factors that may take some time to organize and prioritize in Christoph's head? Maybe, just maybe, there are levels to this game, and perhaps Christoph is operating on a plane that is higher than most. Now, that all being said, one thing I think everyone can agree on is that there needs to be some limitation on how long a player can take to act. The question is, who has the onus to implement that limitation? Should the player take it upon himself to rush his deliberation and potentially lose EV for the sake of his opponent or the viewers? If so, what is the appropriate amount of time? 1 minute? 30 seconds? 10 seconds? Maybe he should just blind open shove every hand. That would make the game go much quicker, and many fans would love it. The reality is that at the highest level of every competitive activity, the best of the best, by and large, will fully utilize every legal advantage they have to win. This is what makes them great. In games of high variance and tiny edges, allowing any extraneous considerations to enter into your head, which are detached from the singular goal of winning, can be the difference between first and last place. The greatest competitors are always the ones that dedicate every fiber of their being to achieving victory. So the rational response to excessive tanking isn't to ask the players to self-regulate. Rather, it is for the organizations to change the rules by implementing a shot clock. Other competitive games have made similar changes in an effort to become more fan-friendly, such as the NBA instituting its own shot clock, soccer issuing yellow cards for diving, wrestling punishing passivity, and hockey penalizing icing. Also, Christoph's opponents always have the right to call the floor if they want, and I'm guessing it would correct his behavior rather quickly. But it is a fool's errand to try to, through public ridicule and scorn, pressure professional poker players into voluntarily relinquishing their most precious resource in this game, time.